it's Barry.
And Jerry.
And Dave.
And Dan.
All right. With another episode of Hooked on Headwaters. Today we're down here at beautiful Lake Garcia. It'll be on 512. If you've not fished this lake, definitely one you want to add to your bucket list of lakes to come out and fish. There's some really nice fish out here, good size, and it's not too big of a lake that you have to try to learn it all. You know, it's real easy. It's pretty much a big square. Jerry's going to talk about that here in just a little bit, how to navigate that lake. So we'll get into that here in just a minute. Quick housekeeping, Davis House Inn, as always, if you're looking for a place to stay, check out the link below. Great, big rooms, right on the water, restaurants are all around. You hear us talk about them all the time. There's a reason we do that. It's just the place to go.
Yeah, you know? And don't forget, if you mention Hooked on Headwaters, they will give you a discount.
No doubt.
And if you got a boat, you can keep it there. You can even put it, if you want to do a little saltwater fishing, they're right on the banks of the Indian River. They have a dock, so very convenient.
Yeah, great place. So check out the link below.
Okay.
All right.
Now I'm going to the camera.
All right, we're going to kick things off with a little rundown on past week's fishing here. We're going to go to Jerry, who has done quite a bit this last week and covered quite a few miles of water, for sure. So,
yeah.
Break it down.
I fished Saturday, Sunday, Monday, yesterday, and I'll be fishing this afternoon after the video's over as well.
Stop. You went catching Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and you're going to be catching again today.
What did I say? Fishing?
Oh. Catching is what you actually do. And I know that because I was out with Jerry on Saturday, and I know what catching is like. So
that's right. Y'all did catch some fish, didn't you?
That's right. So
Saturday we fished Kenansville in the morning, afternoon. I can't remember.
We did morning into afternoon. We had to fight off the FLW guys.
That's right. We fished Kenansville Saturday morning, and they were having a tournament out there. It was pretty busy. We did manage to catch some fish out there, and then we left about noontime and went over to Farm 13, and then we did really well.
Game on.
We caught some big fish over there Saturday afternoon. Sunday, I fished Kenansville again and did pretty good over there, and then I went back to Farm 13 and did really well again over there. And then Monday I fished out here in the evening time in the Farm 13 canal, which is back in this corner over here, and we did really well. And then we ended up in the northeast corner and did good there as well. And then yesterday morning I fished Headwaters with a client, and we started fishing at 5 minutes after 7, and at 10:30 we were done and had went through 5 dozen shiners and caught multiple fish in the 6-pound range.
Yeah.
So we've caught fish all week long.
Catch.
That's it.
Catch.
We haven't fished, we catch.
There's a theme there, Jerry.
Yeah, we weren't fishing, we were catching.
Good. No doubt about it. Yeah, and a blast to just hang out with Jerry anyway on the water. Dan.
No.
Dan's shaking his head. Why?
No.
Because Dan made...
I'm a little jealous. I didn't get to fish much this past week. However, I did get a new trolling motor on the boat. That's what I was doing last week. So a whole new world is now.
What'd you go with? You know, let's talk trolling motors for a minute, because I know...
I seen this thing, by the way, man. It is nice. It is nice.
I saw him on Monday when he was out here catching fish. I did catch 4 or 5 fish in a few minutes I had to fish, so he wasn't the only one that caught fish on Monday. I just didn't catch as many and as big and didn't have as much time. So trolling motor wise, I decided to go with the Garmin.
Okay.
I have Garmin electronics on the of course, Garmin's an impressive product no matter. I'm not saying you got to go with Garmin, but they have good quality stuff, just like Lowrance. It's all good stuff. The reason I went with the Garmin trolling motor, like several of them now, they have brushless motors, so you can use less power from your batteries. What's cool about this thing, like many of the others, I can run it from my helm, from my Garmin unit. I can touch at a touch of a button. I can run my trolling motor, which is really cool. Then for my artificial trips, when I have my customers with me, I can literally stay out of their way, because in times past you have to be up on the bow, in the way of the person that's actually doing the fishing. So now I can stay out of my customer's way. And
so your customers get to fish the front of the boat.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Just want to be clear on that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was my choice for the Garmin. It's really cool. You know, of course, it's got the hand control device, which is handy. You can run routes with it. You can program a route. It'll run the whole route and spot lock right at the end. and it'll hold your boat there.
That's awesome.
There's a lot of this technology that we have now is fantastic. You know, I complain about technology with smartphones because it's a double-edged sword. Usually it cuts the wrong way for everyone. We just don't realize it yet. But this technology with electronics and trolling motors, the new outboards, it is just, it's amazing. It really is amazing.
Yeah, absolute progress has been, over the last 10 years, just accelerated, you know, 100 times more than it had for the previous 30 years, you know, and actually the last 5 years, really. Especially with these new live scopes and live views and all that kind of stuff. We'll get to that in another episode.
Yeah, but you know, Barry, one thing real quick, and I kind of hit on this once in a while, especially talking to these guys just starting out, you don't have to have a $3,000 trolling motor to go out here and catch some fish.
Nope.
Don't think that way. Don't think that you got to have a brand new bass boat with $20,000 worth of tackle to do this. You do not need that.
I don't even have a trolling motor on my airboat at all.
But you got one on your other boat.
I do.
See?
Because Jerry does both airboats.
Airboat and flats boat. I don't have a bass boat. I have a nice flats boat, so a little different, but it's the same thing.
But you're right, because I inherited. I still, of all the boats I have, I really like my 15-foot John boat.
Yeah, I've got one.
Foot control motor. I just inherited from my brother-in-law. It works great, you know. It just gets you around, and you know, you just take your time. So yeah, you don't need to put the money into it. Yes, it's nice. Yes, it can give you an advantage sometimes, depending on what the situation is. But yeah, just get out and fish. You're going to find them.
But now, a trolling motor, if you can afford that, even if you have, like I got a 14-foot John boat, you got a 15.
Right.
A 12-volt trolling motor will work fantastic for that. A trolling motor, in my opinion, is near necessity. It is not a necessity, but it will make a difference in your ability to maneuver your boat, and you'll catch more fish because of it. You don't have to have it, but it is a very useful tool. If you're going to spend your dollars somewhere on a piece of equipment for the boat, that's where.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Hey folks, I'm just jumping in here to talk about Blue Cypress Lakeside Cabins. They're our new sponsor. It's a great place to stay. This is a little more rustic setting. They sit right on the bank of Blue Cypress Lake. The back of the cabins have a beautiful porch. You can hang out, drink coffee, have an adult beverage. They also provide a grill, nice big grill where you can cook up your catch or cook up some nice steaks. Great place. Jim's going to take care of you. Jim and Tammy, they're your host, and very accommodating. Check them out. Give them a call. Their information will be here below.
Yeah, great prices, great place to stay.
Absolutely.
You can stay for a little bit longer. You know, extended stay if you like. Just super place and super folks to deal with.
Yeah, and you can see from the back of their cabins, you can see the boat launch. It's directly across the canal. So cool, very cool place. We highly recommend it.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
So check them out. Link will be down below. Again, you know, it's kind of nice, and I'll give you the one quick thing. It's nice because you can stay there, fish the lake, or take off for the day, go fish another lake, come back, and then fish an evening fish out on Blue Cypress. Or even just ride around Blue Cypress.
I think Blue Cypress Lake's one of the most scenic, beautiful,
probably in Indian River County
in this area. It really is.
And where it's worth it, where we run the other day, of course, you go down to M and then you take that cut to the right. It's like you're in a whole another world.
Yeah, you can go down Zigzag Canal into Big M Canal, and you can actually just pop right out into the mouth of it, and just cypress based all the way around. It's just beautiful.
For my kayaking brothers and sisters out there, phenomenal place to kayak, because you have all these little coves and back creeks that you can go exploring. Stay away from the main lake and just work your way inside, in and out of those big cypress trees. Really scenic. Bring the camera, you have a good time. And the rod. Don't forget the fishing rod.
Right. And the fish are there. You just gotta find them. That's all. But they are there.
Very good speckled perch lake, crappie lake. Very good.
For sure. All right. Cool. Check out the link below.
That's it. Now, back again.
And we're okay, folks. At this point, we're going to go ahead and kick it over to Jerry, who's going to talk a little bit about Lake Garcia here off of 512. He always gives us a little history on these lakes too, which is really cool to kind of get an idea where they came from, where they started, now what they are, and how. So we're going to talk about that and how to navigate. So let's take it over to Jerry.
Okay, folks. So right here behind us is Lake Garcia's. It was a racetrack back in the early 80s, a horse track, a circle dirt horse racetrack. It was owned by the Garcia's family. They sold it to the state, they flooded it, and it became the fishery that it is today. If you have not been here before and you're not familiar with the area, right now at the present time, if you're going to try to fish this lake out of a bass boat, your best, well really the only choice that you have is to go ahead and put in right here at the ramp, and you're going to have to come around this cut right here, and you'll have to get into this canal right here that runs back east and west, or I'm sorry, north and south. It runs north and south. This area over here, they're doing a lot of construction work to the dike. They're bringing in some rocks and boulders, clearing out a bunch of old foliage, and it's completely blocked all the way down to the southwest corner, so you can't even get down through there in a bass boat at all. So you're gonna have to leave the ramp, like I said, and you got to get in this canal, and you can run this canal all the way down to the northeast corner. There are several areas halfway down that you can cut back into the lake. The old racetrack itself sits right behind these sawgrass islands right here, and you can get back out into the lake from over in that area. But if you want to run all the way down to the northeast corner, and then you'll get into the north canal, and you can run that canal back east and west. And then once you get in that east and west canal, you can run it all the way to the end, and then you can break out at any point out into the lake and, you know, just go wherever you decide to fish from there. If you decide to go all the way to the very end of the north canal, you'll end up in what they call the Farm 13 canal, which is a whole nother body of water, but it is connected to this lake. And you can, you know, experiment and go down through there and, you know, try different areas, explore. But the best way to get in and out of here right now is to jump out of the boat ramp and get in this canal and find you a way out in the lake down through there. There's quite a few openings actually, but do not for any reason try to venture down through here. This canal is closed completely off, and you will be hung up, stuck, and it won't be nice. So that's it for right now for as far as the breakdown on how to get in and around the lake right now at the present moment.
Last week.
Yep.
Out here, you're gonna do
so I fish shiners out here several days this week. I'm actually going to be fishing this afternoon after the video out here as well, and most of my fish have been coming from the northeast corner down here. It runs a parallel with 512. You can actually see the cars on 512 when I'm fishing, so you're not very far off the main road out here at all once you're out in the lake. But there's a lot of islands down here right now that are matted up, and half of the islands are in the flat area, and the other half of the islands, it's the same islands, but half of them are in the flat and half of them are in a canal, which is a break from about 2.5 foot of water to about 6-7 foot of water, and these fish are just piled up underneath these mats. And if you're going to be, you know, it's a good, awesome place to be punching. If you're going to be punching, you know, something like that, or if you want to fish shiners up underneath the mats, there's a lot of fish in here right now to be caught.
Right on. Good stuff as always. I always learn something new here talking about these lakes. It's like he's our Wikipedia guy, and I know that's, you know, technical.
Yeah, that's a that might be stretching it.
Right. Good info as always. And this week, Dan, you're going to talk about.
We're talking about line selection. There's been some questions on some of the other videos that you guys should check back on and watch.
Yep.
Of line selection.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to that now.
Okay, guys. So what I'm going to talk about again is line selection for some of your bass fishing techniques that we use. I like to fish a lot of braid. I'm about 90% of my tackle's got braid on it. There's still some room for mono, so don't neglect that completely. But with my braid, there's some situations where I like to have a piece of fluorocarbon tied on. In a lot of situations, a lot of your moving baits like a spinner bait, or say any of your punching lures, you can go straight to the hook with your braid. So some of the questions we have were about, you know, what should I do? So I'm going to tell you how I do it. So what I do is I tie a line-to-line knot between my braid and my fluorocarbon. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. So the knot I normally use is a line-to-line double uni knot. I'm going to show you how to tie that now. I typically I tie my braid around my fluorocarbon first, and I'll get to talking about fluorocarbon in just a minute. So with my braid, you'll make your small loop, and there is tutorials online and on most of your braided line packages will show you how to tie this line-to-line knot. I like to go around my my fluorocarbon leader 7 times. Didn't count, but that's okay. And then what I do is I slowly pull it part way down. I don't tighten it all the way yet. I get it kind of snug. Then since I'm so right-handed, I turn it around so I can tie this the same way on the other side. So now I'm going to do the same thing, tying my fluorocarbon around the braid, and I go 5 turns around my braid. So now here's an important key, and again I want to talk about this in a moment. I pull it part way down. I don't get it any tighter than that. Now I'm wrapping up my braid, try not to let it slide, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my braid really taut, and I'm going to use my teeth to pull down my knot. So I'll wet it, and I keep a very low angle here. I don't want to pull it off 90 degrees. I want it pulling down this main line. Okay, so what that does, it takes that knot and it ties it around the braid. If you don't tie this knot properly, it will wrap through your fluorocarbon and it will cut your fluorocarbon. So now what I'll do is I'm back to the other side. I've wrapped up. I've got my fluorocarbon and my braid wrapped, and then I'm going to pull the tag end of my braid, get it tight, wet it, and now I'm going to slowly, with it wet, I'm going to pull it down until they meet one another, and then I wrap up, don't let the line slide, and I really give it a good pull. Then I trim off my tag ends with my scissors if I can find them. There they are. I'll trim my tag ends close. There's one.
Captain Dan, you have to be careful you don't cut yourself with the braid. Right? Yes,
that's what you notice. I wrap 2 or 3 times. You don't want it to slide. It's even worse with wet hands. It'll cut you like a knife. So, and you don't want to cut your face with the scissors either. Okay, so now we have a line-to-line knot that's very small. Okay? Line-to-line knot, nice and small, will go through your guides, through your guides real well. Typically when I pull line off my spool, my fluorocarbon spool, I'll pull about 5 feet. That for me is about 5 feet, and that's what I tie on. And I'll fish it down until you get about to 36 inches or so, and then I prefer a little bit longer piece of line. The reasons that I do this: one, we have the braid has such great sensitivity, no stretch, you get great hook sets with it, and it can cut through the vegetation when you're fighting a fish. A word of advice that I learned the hard way in times past: I use 100% fluorocarbon to tie for my leader. I don't use mono. Mono does not have the abrasion resistance that the fluorocarbon. Now 100% fluorocarbon, that's what I'm talking about, has a better abrasion resistance than mono. You'll find that if you catch a lot of fish on mono, right at the hook, you'll have some scuffed up area on your line. You don't get it as much. You don't have to retie as often. One other thing you need to keep in mind: certain rods that I have no problems and have very, very few failures of this knot, hardly ever. The main reason I have failures from time to time is some of these rods that have almost like a micro guide. It doesn't work real well with that because it doesn't go through the guides very well. But also, when you're casting a lot, it slaps on some certain kinds of guides. I have certain rods, some spinning rods that I have to retie this knot about once a day, maybe twice, depending on how much my customers are casting or how much I'm casting with it, because the knot does get beat up in your guides. But try this out. I like 20-pound braid. Again, like I mentioned in previous videos that you guys have probably watched, I fish the Cortland braid and the Cortland fluorocarbon. Great products. There's a lot of great products out there, but that's how I do it. I have had great success with it over the years.
All right, we're back from Dan's rundown on line and knots, but we do have another question here real quick. When you're fishing this area, whether it be Garcia or Headwaters or any other places, what's your favorite or what's your go-to pound test for braid?
Well, it depends on what I'm doing. As we mentioned in the other flipping and punching video,
Yep.
I like 50, 65 pound for that, because you need something that's more durable.
Right.
You know, that you're going to be sawing a lot of vegetation and hitting, you know, short, 10, 12 feet of line out, setting the hook. So you're going to need something a little heavier. Things like spinner baits. Some of them,
worms,
yeah,
flukes.
yeah. Well, my shiner rods, I know Jerry uses 50 a lot. I use 30, just what I've got. I like that. Jerry likes 50. Both of it works great. But the rest of my fishing, almost all of it, that I'm using braid. And I'm not talking punching. I'm not talking necessarily shiners, but all the other stuff. For worming, man, I really like the 20-pound braid with a piece of 20-pound fluorocarbon. That's what I use all the time. That's my main thing. I've found it has good castability. I can get my distance with it. It's plenty strong if you tie your knots right. Remember what I was saying about pulling down the knots. I've known guys over the years that there's always these fish stories that I'm breaking off. I broke off almost every tournament we fished. There's somebody breaking off. The same guys were breaking off. And I'm not criticizing, but you got to look where and find where your problem is. I used to work at a tackle shop and had access to a lot of different lines, and I spent a couple of days with just a couple of days that were dead with business, so I tested line. And I mean, I tested everything we had in the shop. I tested line-to-line knots. I tested different brands of knots. Different brands of line.
Right.
I tried different knots with each brand. And I found the two strongest knots overall was the uni knot and the polymer knot. If you got those two knots, you can do just about anything you want to do in the freshwater world, in my opinion.
Right.
You'll find as you fish, like especially with mono, there's certain lines that really accept certain knots better than other knots. It just, a lot of it has to do with just the way the line's made up. But really the tightening your knots, I'd have to do a really close up. Maybe we'll do that sometime and show you the difference between a good knot and a bad knot. One way to tell for sure is to pull the heck out of it. Pull it to where I'm getting pretty close to my breaking string. I do that. You saw here in the video. I pull my knots really hard, just to make sure that it's tight. Because I've pulled them before and they've broken and said, okay, I did something wrong. Let's tie that again.
Right. Now, are you going to hurry or you just half?
Yeah, you guys coming down, you're driving 500 miles to get here.
Right.
You don't want to lose your
fish
trophy
over
fish,
a knot.
or the ones that, oh, that could have been a trophy, and then
Dan, let me ask you this. So when I use my 50-pound or 65-pound, it's a 12-pound or a 15-pound diameter, but a 50 or 65-pound test.
Right.
When you use that 20-pound test, is it a 20-pound diameter or is it a?
No. I think it's 8.
So it's an 8-pound
sure it's
diameter,
8.
and that's why you get the castability out of it.
I don't. My arms aren't long enough here. Let me see if it says it on this pack. What?
T-Rex.
T-Rex. Yeah,
So that's why it has the long, good castabilities, because it's that small diameter.
The Cortland Master Braid, the 20-pound is a 6-pound diameter.
Yeah. Nice.
So it's small stuff, and you can definitely cut your hands with it. You got to be careful with that stuff. Don't let it slide. If it doesn't slip through your hands, it's probably not going to cut you. But if you let that slip,
it will cut you.
Oh, man.
I mean, it will cut you.
Yeah, especially when your hands are wet. You've been fishing in the rain.
Pick a fish up or something.
A lot of fish.
Pick a fish up like that or something by the line. And
it'll cut you like a knife.
Yeah.
So, just a few tips there.
Yeah, right. Good stuff. All right, everybody. Got a big announcement here. Dave and I have partnered up with American Bait Works. If you're not familiar with them,
Nice.
They carry the brands like Scum Frog and Net Baits and Set the Hook. And they've got a brand new, I'm not even going to say it. I don't know how secret this is supposed to be, but they got a very, very cool new thing coming out that you're going to want to know about. So with that, we're going to be introducing you to some of their baits, giving you some rundowns on it. When you walk into a tackle shop, here's the thing. You got this big, long row. I mean, if you're looking for, let's say, a creature bait, you've got all these different brands. How do you know which one to pick? I mean, unless you hear it from somebody else who's using it, you really don't know. And that's what we're going to cover a lot of, is how to decide on what baits to use and picking ultimately a company that you want to support, one that you're going to be happy with their baits on, and we think that American Bait, we know American Bait Works is that company. They've got some incredible baits. They've got some great guys behind the scenes that are out there testing those baits. JT Kenny, for one, a friend of ours, great guy. He works with them directly and does a ton of on the water testing, and there's some reasons why I like the way JT's set up with them. It makes it even more reason to go with the credibility that American Bait Works has. Just a great company all around. So anyway, we're going to be bringing you lots of stuff on that. We're going to do some giveaways as well, so you can test out some of these baits and be reporting back to us on your experiences with them when you follow how it's going to be done, or follow the tips and techniques that we're going to be putting out to you when it comes to these different types of baits. So hang in there for that. It's going to be a lot coming up here through the winter, and super excited about that. It's going to be great. Dave's got one more announcement that he's going to throw at you here.
Dave here with Hooked on Headwaters, and today we want to introduce our brand new performance shirts. These are SPF 50. As you can see, they got a nice full front logo, back logo as well, and we've got the Hooked on Headwaters going down the sides of the sleeves. So these will be available in the next few days for shipping. They will sell for $35.99. If you're not local, we'll have to ship them to you, so there might be a small shipping charge, but we should be able to get it out in time for Christmas, though it may be a little close depending on FedEx and UPS and the post office. Anyway, these should be in our offices the next few days, and they'll be ready to ship out to you. So give us a buzz. Contact me at Dave@headwaters.com or Barry@headwaters.com. Let us know how many you need, what sizes, and we will get those out to you.
Hey,
thanks.
Dave, do we do gift certificates?
Hey, Barry, thanks for that reminder. Here's a great gift idea for Christmas and any other holiday, anniversary, birthdays. A gift certificate. We could do a gift certificate for a shirt. We can do a gift certificate for a bow fishing trip, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. As a matter of fact, I'm going to turn that over to these guys here. We're going to talk about a gift idea for the gift giving season.
Okay, folks, Christmas is coming, as everybody knows, and we know a lot of things are hard to get, supply and demand. I tell you, it's been crazy this year. There's been a lot of things you just can't get. One of the best things that you can do is actually purchase something that is more family oriented, something that, somebody who has everything. You're like, what can I get my husband, my boyfriend? What can I get my girlfriend? What can I get my wife? That's going to be something more than, something that winds up just collecting dust or gets used a couple times and it's over with. Memories last forever.
That's right.
Let's talk about that.
So let's say you got this difficult person to buy a gift for. Happens to all of us every year, right? He has everything, or he or she have everything. What can you get him? Here's an idea. How about a gift certificate for a trip on the water? Bass fishing with one of these guys, bow fishing with us, kayak fishing with myself. We all offer gift certificates.
Photography tour.
Photography tour here, lake tours. Here. It's all available in this group here. So if you want us to ship one of those gift certificates out to you, we can do it all via email. We can handle payment electronically. Just hit us up. Dave on hookedonheadwaters.com, Barry at hookedonheadwaters.com. We'll contact these guys and make it happen for you.
Airboat guide or airboat.
I just did one for I just did one for a lady for a fishing trip for her husband and her father. The trip's not until April, but she got it for him for a Christmas present, and she just sent me her email. I emailed it over to her, and they'll get it on Christmas morning in a gift.
Yeah, I think you'll surprise the heck out of the people if you give them one of these. This is very, very unique, totally different. They'll remember this for a long time.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So that's going to wrap up this week's edition of Hooked on Headwaters here at Lake Garcia. You never know where we're going to be. New faces, new places. Having a great time this season. We got lots coming up when we get into 2022. And so everybody, we'll be filming next week probably.
We'll be filming next week. It'll be our show just before Christmas.
Yep.
And I also want to ask everyone to, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. please click that notification button, comment. All this really helps us in the YouTube world. Work through our algorithms. It's very important to us. So don't think, oh, these guys are okay. We appreciate the comments. The comments mean a lot to us. Hey, you must say, hey, thumbs up or whatever. Share. Yep, you may have a question about the fishing, the topics we discussed today. Shoot them all over to us. We appreciate it. Hit that notification button, that thumbs up. Again, repeating myself, but it's very critical and important to Barry and I for Hooked on Headwaters. Helps us expand the show and bring even more content to you.
Yep. Cool. All right, guys, gals. See y'all next week.
See you next week.
So long, everyone.
See you on the
God
water.
bless.